Learning by what you already know, learning more about what you don't.
To me, inquiry is like our school, so like asking questions, being able to ask questions.
I think it's just basically asking questions and finding out for yourself instead of a teacher telling you what to do.
Inquiry to me is the basic system of going deeper into certain subjects and finding out more than what you would naturally be expected to.
It's using science and books and all sorts of different references to research projects.
As it is clearly apparent, not all students agree on what inquiry is. Our goal is to create a rubric for inquiry projects that is used daily in our school. Specifically, our goal is to make it easy for students and teachers to create engaging, informative, unique, and ideal projects. To achieve this, we would like to present you with a rubric that will help guide you and your students when creating a project. We will begin by going over the categories of the rubric, along with some examples of projects that meet the criteria of this section.
Real-world connections. An example is tectonic plates. The grade 4 is connected to the earthquake in Haiti to talk about tectonic plates and increase their connection to both the topic and depth of understanding.
Outside of school. One example of this is the science fair. The students inquire about something that interests them, but at the same time it is connected to the curriculum. While creating their projects, students obtain skills such as project management, problem solving, and teamwork.
Work assessment. An example of this is the cigar box project. There's an ongoing assessment while creating the panels of the cigar box. The students can also reflect on their work and set goals on what they want their final cigar box to look like.
How to communicate. An example is the Renaissance inquiry. There are many forms that can be used to present the students' work, such as PowerPoint, iMovie, and Keynote.
Academically challenging. An example of this is the science fair. Students decide on what degree of difficulty when they choose their topic. There are different ways to present the answers to the issue or question. The inquiry also teaches students to look for evidence, viewpoints, patterns, connections, and why this matters.
Use of technology. One example of this is our cigar box project. Through the process of creating the separate panels, students learn how to use the program Fireworks. There are many tools that can be used to create an aesthetically pleasing cigar box.
Hands-on work. An example is science fair projects. There are many project choices that are very hands-on, like experiment projects and engineering projects that allow you to experiment with materials at school and on your own time.
I like the history project because you get to make an iMovie and have different perspectives. Like for the one I'm doing, the Franklin expedition, you can have a perspective of Franklin's crew, you can have a perspective of Franklin, you can have a perspective of Franklin's wife, Lady Franklin. You can have all sorts of different perspectives.
In the Renaissance unit, where we brought in lots of experts and we talked to them about the Renaissance and what if Calgary was a Renaissance city?
For example, if it wasn't for technology, we wouldn't have been able to Skype with all those historians and video chat with those museum workers that can explain to us what it really means and that can really take the initiative for our inquiry. It's probably the biggest resource that we can have to help us with inquiry.
Ideally, all students would be highly engaged all the time, with students thinking in all classes. More specifically, students would be brainstorming, working, posing ideas, creating their own projects, talking with experts, thinking about solutions to real problems, and connecting their work, and more. For example, in math class, students would pore over statistics, connecting them to graphing, ratios, percentages, and predictions. In science, students would be experimenting and researching about topics that both interest them and meet the curriculum. In language arts, students would be writing stories, plays, and novels, comics, and poems while learning grammar and spelling. In social studies, students could work on global issues, learning about countries, past, present, and studying cause and effect. In art, students could create sculptures, paintings, drawings in various forms and tie them to other projects. In music, students could create their own song and tie it to a global issue. In drama, students could enact plays that they create in language arts and use them to communicate about various crises. In dance, a student could perform cultural dances from various different countries. In gym, students could play games from around the world and keep active and attentive throughout the day. Just imagine all the possibilities.